Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're getting into something really powerful, a set of sources looking at Markus Zusak's novel, The Book Thief.
Mm.
Specifically, we're focusing on how it sets up its world, wartime Germany.
Yeah, but the twist is the narrator. It's death.
Exactly. An omniscient, kind of detached, but also surprisingly philosophical death.
Yeah, it's quite a choice.
So our mission today really is to unpack how this unusual viewpoint shapes everything right from the start. The emotional stakes, how relationships get built under, well, incredible pressure.
And the role of words and colors, that's huge in this book.
Definitely. The symbolic power they hold for survival.
And it hits you right away. Death's first line is just, you are going to die.
Chilling, isn't it? But also weirdly matter of fact.
Totally. It sort of takes the suspense out of mortality, but then you wonder about death himself.
Right, because he insists he's not malicious, not violent.
It's just a result. That's the phrase he uses.
So if his job is basically dealing with endless suffering, why the constant focus on colors?
Well, he says he needs it. A distraction.
Hmm.
He talks about trying to see the colors first, the billion flavors in the spectrum. Kind of emotional buffer almost.
Searching for a chocolate-colored sky to avoid looking at the pain.
Pretty much. Trying to keep his mind off the agony of the survivors.
Okay, but if he needs that color shield, how does he manage to tell Liesel's story? Because her story is absolutely full of those survivors, the leftover humans he says he dreads.
That's the thing. He zooms in on the small stuff. The repeated human moments. And Liesel Meminger, our book thief, she's one of those humans he admits he's, haunted by. He introduces her through 3 specific meetings.
Right, the 3 meetings, each one marked by a different sky color he remembers.
Exactly.
The first one is the white sky. That's right at the beginning, isn't it? By the railway line?
Mm-hmm. That's where her story really kicks off, with his huge loss and, her first act of defiance.
Her younger brother dies on the train.
Yeah, suddenly. And Liesel, in this completely snow-covered, overwhelming scene, she steals the gravedigger's handbook from the snow.
Her first stolen book, like grabbing onto something solid when everything's falling apart.
Precisely. It's a small anchor.
Okay, then years later, the second meeting, that's under the black sky, or the eclipse, as Death calls it.
Yeah, and this time she's older, and she sees the war much more directly.
The plane crash.
The crashed, metallic little bird. Death is there for the pilot's soul, naturally. But before he gets there, Liesel's friend, Rudy Steiner,
heard
he
it.
does something amazing. He puts a little teddy bear on the dead pilot's chest.
Wow. Just pure empathy.
In the middle of all that destruction. So Liesel's story and Death's memory of her, it's punctuated by these moments, shocking acts of humanity.
And we know there's a third tragic meeting later with the bombing of Himmel Street. But before that, she arrives in Mulching, this little town.
Himmel Street, yeah. Which ironically means Heaven Street.
Right. And she meets Hans and Rosa Hubermann, her foster parents.
Papa and Mama. And the contrast between them is just stark, but kind of essential for her.
Hans' papa. He sounds like the gentle one. Tall, quiet.
Eyes made of kindness and silver. That's the description. And when Liesel first arrives, she's terrified, won't even go in the house.
Clinging to the gate.
Yeah. And Hans is the one who just sits with her, patiently coaxes her in, plays the accordion for her later. She feels instantly that this man was worth a lot.
And then there's Rosa, Mama, who sounds like, well, a contradiction.
Oh, completely. She's tiny, only 5'1", works doing laundry for the rich folks in town.
And she swears constantly.
Like a sailor. Always calling Liesel so mensch, pig girl, and Hans Sockel, pig boy. She's the woman with the iron fist.
Doesn't sound very comforting.
But it's like her armor. The sources show that underneath, when Liesel finally agrees to take a bath after 2 weeks, Rosa gives her this huge, almost painful hug.
An injury-inducing hug. Okay.
Yeah. She makes Liesel call her Mama number 2, but still manages to insult her while doing it. It's complex.
That mix of, tough love and fear, the need for secrets, it really sets the stage for the massive risk Hans takes later, doesn't it?
Absolutely. It foreshadows everything.
So how did his past, his WWII experience shape that, the sense of justice that made him part of that tiny 10% who didn't actively back Hitler?
It all comes down to one person, Eric Vandenberg, his friend from the war.
A Jewish friend.
Yes. And Eric saved Hans's life in France. Simple as that.
Yeah.
He volunteered Hans for letter-writing duty the day Hans's entire platoon was wiped out.
Wow.
And Eric taught Hans the accordion. Hans carried it through the war, kept it, played it for Eric's widow. It was a debt he never forgot.
So he carries that debt into the Nazi era?
And it dictates his actions. Like
Yeah.
in 1933, when things were already getting dangerous, he paints over slurs on a Jewish shopkeeper's door. Joel Kleinman's shop.
And gets labeled Der Judenmailer, the Jew painter.
Yeah. That act pretty much guarantees he gets denied Nazi Party membership. Costs him work, but,
Saves his conscience.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But it causes huge friction, even in his own family.
With his son, Hans Jr.
Yeah, Hans Jr. is a hardcore Nazi, described as having Führer-ed eyes, just filled with the party line. He calls his own father a coward for not getting with the program.
And that must have been incredibly painful for Hans.
You have to think so. Especially knowing Hans Jr. ends up sent to Stalingrad.
Which Death describes in horrifying terms. A sky splashed with blood. Grim.
Very.
And Liesel, she has her own political awakening, right? At that book burning.
Yes. On Hitler's birthday, she finally connects the dots, realizes the Führer is why her birth family was destroyed, why her mother had to give her up, and she just screams it out loud.
I hate the Führer.
In public. Oh, boy.
The worst possible thing to say. And Hans, his reaction isn't anger, it's pure fear.
He slaps her.
Out of terror for her safety.
Right. And immediately tells her, you can only say that in this house, never outside. It just shows the knife edge they lived on daily. Your own thoughts could get you killed.
So that's the tension inside the Hubermann house. Let's step outside now to Liesel's partner in crime, her best friend, Rudy Steiner.
Ah, Rudy. Lemon hair, always hungry. The audacious little bastard.
But he seems to represent that sort of external, maybe naive defiance.
Totally. He's got this deep-seated, almost innocent refusal to just conform. Perfectly shown by the Jesse Owens incident.
Back in '36 during the Berlin Olympics.
Hitler's games. Rudy's so impressed by Jesse Owens winning 4 gold medals.
An African-American athlete embarrassing the Aryan supremacy idea.
Exactly. So Rudy smears himself black with charcoal and runs the 100 meters on the local sports field. Just because he admired Owens. Pure Rudy.
He and Liesel become inseparable, right? Bonded by hunger, mostly.
Yeah, they're always trying to scrounge food, stealing apples, potatoes. It's survival, but also adventure for them.
And Rudy's always trying to get a kiss from Liesel.
Relentlessly. He keeps saying, one day, Liesel, you'll be dying to kiss me.
And she keeps refusing him.
Vows she'll never kiss that miserable, filthy sock girl. It's their dynamic, that constant push and pull.
But Rudy's defiance isn't just kid stuff. It gets him into real trouble, especially with the Hitler Youth.
Oh, yeah. The triple-tiered problem. It starts with him defending his friend Tommy Miller.
The one with the hearing problems.
Yeah, and a nervous twitch. Makes him terrible at the marching drills. This brings down the wrath of their leader, Franz Deutscher, who's a real tyrant.
And Rudy can't keep his mouth shut.
Never. So he racks up these 3 acts of stupidity. Stealing the biggest potato from the grocer, confronting Deutscher on the street, gets a black eye, and Deutscher cuts his hair with a knife.
Ouch. Humiliating.
And then just skipping the meetings altogether.
But his real courage comes out when he's defending Liesel, not himself.
Absolutely. That moment in December 41, there's this new gang leader, Victor Kemmel, even crueler than Deutscher. He steals Liesel's latest book, The Whistler.
The one she stole from the mayor's wife's library.
And Chell throws it into the freezing Amper River.
Oh, no.
And Rudy, he just dives right into the icy water, gets the book back for it.
That's incredible bravery for a book.
It costs him, he suffers from the cold, but he does it for her. And even then, what does he get? A sarcastic sock roll. Still no kiss.
Even though, as Death notes, Rudy must have loved her so incredibly hard.
Yeah. It's heartbreaking, really.
Okay, that intense loyalty, that willingness to risk. It brings us back to the Hubermans. And the biggest risk of all. The debt Hans has to repay.
Max Vandenberg's arrival.
Eric Vandenberg's son. A Jewish man, a fist fighter, on the run.
He turns up at 33 Himmel Street in November 1940.
Yeah.
Late at night. And ironically, he's carrying a copy of Mein Kampf.
Hitler's own book.
Yeah, but hollowed out. Inside, there's a map, a key, the things he needed to get there. Hitler's book becomes his savior in a twisted way.
And Hans and Rosa, they take him in, hide him.
It's an unbelievable gamble. Death calls it rolling a 7-sided die. Just astronomical risk.
So Max lives in the basement. Cold, dark, constant fear.
Suffocating fear. But he and Liesel, they connect almost immediately over their shared trauma, really.
Right.
Both have them. Liesel sees her dead brother on the train. Max dreams of waving goodbye to his family, knowing he might never see them again. That vulnerability creates this incredibly strong bond between them.
And Liesel tries to bring the outside world down to him.
Yeah, these little gifts. A crushed football, a feather, scraps of newspaper puzzles, even a description of a cloud.
The weather report, that's such a poignant moment. Max asks what the day looks like, and she goes outside and comes back and describes it.
Blue sky, clouds stretched out like a rope, sun like a yellow hole. Beautiful, childlike detail.
Max says only a child could give a report like that. It's like sustenance for him.
It is. And to cope with being trapped, Max starts drawing, writing. He has this fantasy
Doxing Hitler.
in the basement, yeah. He imagines getting into a ring with the Fuhrer, with all of Germany watching. And in the fantasy, the crowd eventually turns on Hitler and joins Max in beating him. It's his way of fighting back mentally.
Using his imagination against the overwhelming power of Nazi words and ideology.
Exactly. Which leads perfectly into his final gift for Liesel, the story he makes for her.
The word shaker.
Painted over the pages of Mein Kampf, it's Max's ultimate commentary on the book's main theme.
The power of words.
He writes about the Fuhrer ruling through words, creating great forests of words that control people. But Liesel, in his story, she's a word shaker.
What does that mean?
She plants a seed, actually, a tear of friendship, and it grows into this enormous tree, a tree the Fuhrer tries to chop down but can't.
Representing genuine connection.
Exactly. Real human connection, friendship, love. Max is saying that's a force stronger than all the hateful words and propaganda. It offers protection, sustenance.
That connection, keeping Max hidden, that secret is the core of the Huberman's moral choice. But it had huge, direct consequences, didn't it?
Oh, absolutely. The risk, the frightfully sticky secret as the sources call it, it eventually catches up with Hans. Not in the way you might expect, though.
He gets found out.
Not directly because of Max, but his earlier perceived lack of loyalty means he gets drafted. Forced into the LSE, the Air Raid Special Unit.
The guys who had to go into bombed buildings.
Yeah. Clean up rubble, deal with unexploded bombs, and collect the bodies. The dead body collectors. Daily intimate contact with the kind of horror death himself tries to avoid with colors.
A terrible punishment, but then the irony.
Incredible irony. Because Hans is deployed doing this awful, dangerous job, one day his usual seat in the transport truck is taken by another soldier, Reinhold Zucker. The truck crashes, Zucker is killed, Hans survives.
Because he wasn't in his usual seat, because he'd been punished by being sent to the LSE.
Exactly. His decision to shelter Max, stemming from that WWII debt to Eric, led to the punishment that ultimately saves his life. Again, it wasn't about politics for Hans. It was loyalty. A Jew had once saved his life, and he couldn't forget that.
That loyalty saved him multiple times. Amazing. And finally, we have to come back to Rudy after the bombing of Himmel Street.
Yeah, the ending is just devastating.
Liesel finds him in the rubble.
And she finally gives him that kiss. The one he always wanted.
Kissing his dusty bomb-hit lips. So tragic.
Death watches Rudy's soul depart. He sees the memory flashes that Jesse Owens run, diving into the freezing river for the book, the kiss he always imagined.
Death admits taking Rudy felt like robbery.
Yeah. But there's that tiny, heartbreaking consolation that he did get the kiss in the end, even if it was like that.
So when you look at this whole picture, the darkness, the war, the moral chaos, think about Death's approach, this omniscient narrator focusing on colors, on small acts of theft, small acts of kindness, like Rudy putting a teddy bear on a pilot's chest. Why that focus? In the face of overwhelming evil, what tiny human detail, what everyday thing would you maybe fixate on if your job was collecting souls day in, day out? What would be your distraction?